Hey guys, it's Dr. Jesse Ellis, and I've got a question for you. When it comes to health, what is the first thing that you think about? Okay, time's up on thinking. Go ahead and post it down below if you hadn't already. But the first thing most people think about is likely body, working out, so getting in shape. And it is a very important aspect of health, but it is not the end all be all. And the problem that comes along with thinking that, hey, I'm in good shape, I'm healthy, is the fact that you neglect a lot of the macro or the micro movements and even some of the macro movements of your body. So the difference being micro being small, obviously macro being large, you have gross movements or macro movements, which are going to be like your squats, your hinging, pushing, pulling, all that type of stuff, which you can get really strong in. But whenever you're doing that with weights, what tends to happen is you get strong in that particular position. And yes, you can have some carryover, but one thing, if you lifted weights for any period of time, it does start to create some imbalances just because you're, again, statically strong or strong through this plane of movement, but it can create weaknesses in others because you don't particularly train those ranges of motion, if you will, or those movement patterns. So you do create injuries, overuse injuries. That's usually where that comes in. Even if you have good programming and you back off on weeks or you have rest periods, whatever the case may be, you can still build up overuse injuries that way. Now, the micro movements are going to be the movements in your joints, the real small joints, and they have to be very specific. So if your joints aren't moving properly, that's whenever joints start to break down. And that period takes time, and period actually where it starts to break down and become degenerative is only 4 months. Okay, so it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it does take time. And when you start seeing bone spurs and things like that, decreased disc space, where typically if you go to a doctor and say, oh, you have arthritis, well, it's degenerative changes, and there are varying degrees of that. And if you know you have that in your spine, but you don't know what the degree is, you really need to get that figured out, because if it's a later stage or a higher grade, so if it's over a stage 1 or stage 2 especially, you have limited time and limited ability to actually get that fixed. So always better to get that checked earlier than later. But if you get to it earlier, you may even be able to prevent it completely, because that is not a normal process. A lot of people think it's a part of aging. It's not a part of aging. It's just a part of damage. And if you don't fix the damage, yes, it's going to set in, and it's going to be a matter of years or decades that you see the damage set in, depending on the amount of damage. But it is something that can be avoidable. Okay, some things you just can't avoid. Life happens. But things that you can avoid, definitely you want to avoid that. Now, the dangers of thinking that you are in shape, therefore you're healthy, and you're not paying attention to the macro movements of things, is that's whenever your health starts being affected. Yes, you can push hundreds of pounds, but all of a sudden you go and you do a leg press and now you got a blown disc, or it's herniated, whatever the case may be. And that's because the micro movements aren't there. It's not proper. It's not healthy. So your health is actually going to be based off, one, or partly off the quality of movement and the amount of movement, or proper movement of the joints themselves, each individual joint, and also the global motion of those segments of those joints too. So if there's any restriction whatsoever, and especially if you got a tight neck or any tightness in your hips or low back, anything like that, that's a surefire signal that, hey, there's something going on. And it's not just a tight muscle. Muscles, I mean, it's good to have them. You need them. They're good for your metabolism, good for a whole lot of different things, good for anti-aging principles and whenever you get older. But at the same time, muscles are dumb pieces of meat. So if they are tight, it's because you're not getting the proper signal to those muscles, and the brain is simply trying to keep you alive. So it's telling that muscle to be tight. It's not telling it to relax and contract like it needs to, and then you start getting other problems. Okay, so again, always get the micro movements checked out by a professional. It's not just, oh, I cracked this and I popped that and it felt good. Awesome. Just means you may have a hypermobile joint that popped and it feels good. Can you get an endorphin release from it? But you want to make sure it's actually moving properly. Sometimes you might actually get lucky and it moves properly. That's awesome. I hope that's the case. But to be sure, don't take chances with it. You only get one spine. So far, they hadn't, even as far as I know, even come up with a spinal replacement process. But even if they have, it's far from perfected by any stretch. So take care of the one you have. So that's where the chiropractic comes in, making sure the joints are moving properly, making sure you have good structure, things are aligned where they need to be, and that you can actually withstand the load of the weights that you're pushing around if you are working out. Now, if you're not working out, by all means, find something you like and go work out. You need movement in your body. Every bit of your body. So go walk, go for a run if you like running, go pick a sport, go play. That's one thing we lose as adults is we don't play anymore. So kids, they don't need to work out because they're constantly playing. When you think of a kid hanging on monkey bars or a group of kids seeing who can hold on the longest, that's a strength exercise, but they're having fun. They're having a competition. So there's nothing written down that we can't do that when we get older. So keep that in mind. Now, as we go along, we'll be going over other tips like this. So stay tuned. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, please let them down below. We'll discuss it. And have a great night, guys. Bye.